Hello, Peaceful Profits Nation. Chanel here with an exciting client spotlight episode for you today. So today we're talking to our client, Danielle Thienel. Danielle, welcome to the podcast.
So great to be here. Thanks.
Yeah, I am looking forward to this conversation. Danielle is fantastic, and I had the privilege of working with her inside Peaceful Profits, so getting to know her and her business. So let me introduce her to all of you. Danielle is a certified life coach who supports faith-filled moms to create balance in their busy lives. She is a wife, mom of three, member of the Catholic Church, author, speaker, and host of the Peaceful Mind podcast for busy moms. Her mission is to empower overwhelmed and stressed moms to feel more peace and joy in their busy mom life so they can maximize their full potential. She does this through sharing her process called the Cyclone Mom Method through her books, courses, and life coach offerings. Okay, awesome. I'm excited to dive in. So it's been fun for me seeing you grow and evolve in your business. And like all business owners, you've gone through a process to get to where you are now. So you said that before coming to Peaceful Profits, your business was, and I quote, good, working, and successful, but you were also stretched in tasks and not able to scale because of time and energy limits. So looking back, what kept you stuck and unable to scale?
For sure, it was my mindset, right? For a while, like I said, things had been working and in my mind was very successful. But you do get to a point where you realize that you are just one human being with limited time and energy. And this is something that I reiterate to my clients all the time. And then I myself, sometimes you have to actually take yourself beyond your limits to realize when you're there. But my mindset that kept me from scaling was that I'm the one who should be doing it. I'm the one who would know how to do it better. This one was definitely something that held me back where I said, I can do it faster. Like I really believed that it was me. Like for instance, with my own like recording of my podcast, like, oh, I'm just so in routine so that I can do my outline, record it, edit it, do all of the posting and things like that because I just know how. So it was for sure those thoughts that I had about myself around what I could accomplish in a day with my time and energy, and knowing that in order to scale, like I would have to change how I thought about myself and the tasks that I was doing on a daily basis.
Yeah. Okay, that makes a lot of sense to me. I think because I've had similar thoughts, it is easy for me to say, okay, well, I'm just going to do this myself because I am fast at things. And then if someone else is slower, I'm paying them more than what I would pay my time. So there definitely is this mindset shift in both that piece and the thought of what we should be doing. And so I guess let's talk about as you shifted this for you, got over all of the things that you thought you should be doing. Um, how did that piece change like the way that you thought about yourself in general in your business?
So I just was like, if I did want some to grow, if I did want these goals and to accomplishment, I had to stop and ask myself how that was going to be able to happen being one person. And so this is where, this is what I help teach my clients too about how, to get to those places, sometimes we need help, right? And we don't want to go it alone and want a process that also, it's about more of the process and how you get there. Because I know that as entrepreneurs, we can be, isolated by ourselves. And you really just have to reflect where you're heading and what you want. And in my case, it was like I started out wanting to like help one person at a time. And then you do get and see the changes that you can make. And you get to this place where the shift was, I want to help more. I want to help more in a mass way. And so this required me to shift into somebody who like has to invest more in themselves. It has to say like, what do I want this, business to look like when you are having a lot more people? How is that going to help my time? And then it was just questioning, what if I'm wrong? What if getting a team, getting support, actually investing more money actually does help me get to where you are helping more people and growing your business? And, I just question it. And I went into really kind of an experimental mindset. So let's just see, let's just try it because I wanted to see what was possible.
Mm. That's so good. I love that thought of letting yourself experiment because I think that one of the things that you said is that your greatest successes have come from an identity shift. And identity shifts are scary, right? Like we're changing the foundation of who we are, but if you have this idea of experimenting, this is an experimental thing. I'm going to try this out. That kind of takes away some of the fear, would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. We have the way that our brain works, it makes complete sense that it wants us to stay in a comfortable place, a status quo. And whenever you are heading into an identity shift, it will require you feeling uncomfortableness, some pain, right? Some difficult, some hard, some challenge. And of course, it makes complete sense that our mind will say, no, like do what's easy, do what's comfortable. And so, yeah, it is opening up to being able to handle the hard, knowing you're not going to die from it, right? And knowing
Yeah.
that's actually the path in order to get to those places your heart desires, where you are have taken your business to a different place. So I encourage those to lean into the hard, because on the other side, you are kind of remolded. And yes, the brain is going to tell us that it's scary, but I also know that scary is just a feeling. And I look at other places in my life where I've done scary things and actually, was better for it, or that's the way doing the scary thing got me to the end result. So I just kind of look at those scenarios and I apply them, knowing that, that's actually the path, and especially the entrepreneurial world, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and it makes complete sense that our brain wants us to stay that way, to stay with the easy. But as we all know, in order to grow, in order to have these kind of like big life, big goals to reach, it is going to require you to grow in that skill of being able to handle those other heavy, tougher emotions.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so obviously this was quite the process of growth for you. What surprised you in this process?
What surprised me? Um, I teach my clients that they are the CEOs of their life, right? That you want to step into being the one that is taking charge instead of letting life just come at you, being at the effect of your life. And so I definitely I definitely surprised myself from always thinking of me as more of the employee, right? Being kind of like even led by what other industry standards and people in my even coaching industry leaders were saying.
Yeah.
And so what surprised me about the process is that it actually forced me to to go inward and make decisions and to call on my own intuition. Like, what is it type of business that I want to build? How is the way I want to help? And I'm really surprised that I like the CEO role. I like the feeling of not needing to go outside for, I guess, opinions. Of course, I love like outside help, but knowing ultimately, like, I get to decide what's best for me, next steps. And that how you can, that how you can bounce back between either or, but just recognizing, am I doing an employee task in my business, or do I need a CEO strategic, like follow my mission statement kind of strategy here? And seeing that you can do both. That's probably what surprised me
Yeah.
most.
Okay, this is good. I want to dive into this a little bit more because sometimes especially when people are starting a business, when you're first starting, you are wearing all the hats, you're doing all the things. And it can be really hard to see where is the CEO part and where is the employee part, and how do I differentiate between the two? And so, can you give us specifics of like tasks that you needed to give up, things that you needed to let go? And then you mentioned a few things like um, what this CEO looks like, the CEO role, but help us understand, like on a granular level, what tasks have changed and what it really means for you to be the CEO in your business.
Yeah. So I'll just take my book creation and the book funnel through Peaceful Profits as an example of those tasks. So when I decided as the CEO, the strategy, my long-term strategy was I wanted to have a book be my main marketing avenue to bring visibility to my work and my business. So knowing that is like, as a CEO, that's where you're coming up with the strategy to get to your long-term goals. And so that was a decision, a CEO decision made that way, to go forward with a book funnel. But what that required, that if I was going to spend time on that strategy for book creation, for other product creation, then again, I'm only one person. We have a limited amount of time and energy, so that I would then the tasks of writing daily emails, posting, podcast editing, things like that. That was more of, I had to see those, that's the employee side. And it was with that limited time and energy is where I saw that my time and energy was better placed on carrying out that long-term strategic vision. But the daily, weekly, get the emails out and post is where I saw that I could free myself up time-wise. So then that employee, I gave some of those up to a virtual assistant, right?
Yeah.
And so that's one example, like granular of actually things that, yeah. But as again, as a CEO, you have to check on that, right? Like you want to make sure, and you have to give that, team member guidance, and you have to let them in on what your goals and strategy are. And then, yeah, you just kind of go back and forth. But, like I'm still as an employee creating those podcasts every week. There's just there's just some decisions to be made on how you are going to spend your time and energy, and of course money, because that is the whole thing, is that you either are paying with your time or money.
Yeah.
Um, and when you keep that as an entrepreneur, when you keep that in the forefront of your mind, it helps make your decisions go smoothly, right?
Yeah. I agree with that. And I think it's really interesting. It's an interesting concept to think that we either pay with our time or our money. And sometimes when we are paying with our time, we think, oh, well, I'm saving money. So I'm like this is better because I'm saving, without realizing. And there's this piece that I'm hearing kind of implied, that when we pay with our time, it we are also paying with our energy. And then these creative CEO tasks that we need to do, that's the big picture, that's the strategy. We then don't have the energy, the creative energy to come up with those ideas. Have you found that to be true for you?
Oh, absolutely. And it's parallels with what I help busy moms, because I let them know that they too have limited time and energy. And I talk to it about, like you're a bucket, right? And if you have holes and leaks in your energy and not feeling getting your own self-care time and really doing activities that fill you up, or being stretched too thin, juggling too much, then that is when the leaks happen in your bucket, right? And so no matter how much you try and fill it, it's all leaking out. And so it is the same thing, right? For entrepreneurs in our business, like we're all human beings, and that we don't get to escape that we have, just 24 hours in a day, and we are, we're created by God to rest and sleep in the evenings. And so just understanding that, you can see that there is always an exchange happening. It's of that time, money, or energy. And you can, what I kind of visualize as bottlenecking yourself. And that's when you have to, again, step into that CEO role and make more decisions to protect. I mean, moms just no doubtedly show up more efficiently when they have filled their bucket. And it's the same thing for us, entrepreneurs who need to be creative and use our, brain energy for creation. And so, yeah, it works the same way. If we would take care of ourselves and get ourselves feeling better, then the work from it flows, whether it's, running your household and raising your kids, or if it's the work flowing in your business.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. I agree totally. I think that's so, so important. And it actually leads me into something that I we hadn't planned to talk about, but I want to shift gears and talk a little bit about your niche because I know for you, it has been a process to get really clear on being able to define your niche and their problem. And partly because in the mom space, right? They're all busy moms, and we know that. And yet it's hard to kind of clarify and define that, you know, what the actual problem is. Can we talk a little bit about what that was like for you and how you were able to dial that in a way that really speaks to your audience and lets them know, like, oh, yes, Danielle is my person. She is talking to me.
Yeah, it's so much easier to now look back in retrospect what happened than when you're in the midst of it, right? And
Yeah.
really what I concluded is that I needed two things. I needed more time and experience, like time meaning with my clients to pick up patterns and to kind of like try out things, right? And to be able to let the process kind of unfold and become more clear on its own instead of like forcing it, like, or creating a process first and then using it. So I can see now that I needed to have more patience with myself when it came to figuring that out, and to not see that I needed like to be perfectly have the answers first.
Yeah.
You just, write and pick a subject and do an email, or maybe have a life experience yourself, or maybe build on something your client said. And so the first time was what I see is I just needed more time and experience to let my like kind of process unfold and make itself clear.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. And the second thing was I had to literally slow down, stop. And this was what was so helpful to work with you and actually do the work of answering those questions. Cause I think it was like, I don't know. I just want, my brain just told me like, it's working fine. Like it's kind of like my message is, it's getting, it's resonating with some people. Right. And
Yeah.
so, but to actually stop and ask the question and delegate some time to answer it, even if the first kind of couple answers didn't like feel right, or you just want to let what we call in my program a thought download come out. But if you want the answers you have to kind of stop, pause, and really answer them. And again, it's uncomfortable because our brain then says, oh, well, I should be doing this, and this isn't important enough. I need to create and go do, X, Y, and Z. So those were the two things that were uncomfortable, but I did it. I just needed to be a little bit more relaxed with myself to know that it would unfold and to actually take the time to explore the answers to those questions.
I think that is so important for people to hear because that's something we see in coaching over and over. And let's start with the second one first. This idea that like, I already know it. I don't need to write this down. I've been and especially when people come to us like where you came to us, your business was good. It was working. And so it's easy to be like, I could just skip this part. I already know, let's move on. And yet there's so much uncovering that can happen. And I want to dive into this first one a little bit more because this is almost like a chicken and egg scenario because you're like, I want my business, I just want to grow my business, but I need the experience to know what needs to be in there. And so any tips or thoughts on, how is it just like you work on the business a little and then you work in the business a little, or how would you suggest people go about, building your business, deciding your niche, knowing how to talk about it, and this other piece of having people in the business to work with? Because it's, how can you do both?
Yeah. So an example of myself when I think back is I knew that I always wanted to create a course, and I attempted to do that at the beginning of my coaching career. I remember that the title was something called like the Peaceful Mom's Path. And I went around in circles what that path would be, the steps. Okay. I was trying to create the steps first, right? And then lean into it. And when I finally like let that go, when you don't hold so tightly and you do come from this approach, hopefully if someone hears that and maybe they are trying to grip a result really tight right now, and if you can like let it go or just tell yourself you're just setting it aside for the moment, and you just kind of just think more of your like being in your business, what do my people need today? And then that's where I saw that then after I had a few years under my belt and experience, so now what I did is I made notes. So this is a real tangible kind of action task, is that you want to make note when you are repeating yourself often. When
Yeah.
you have or there are certain things that your people are bringing to you again and again and again. Like, can you make a frequently asked kind of question record, or frequently what I'm saying and teaching? And so that kind of then revealed for me my process. The Cyclone Mom method is actually, when I think about it, the Peaceful Mom's Path, that course from years ago, that is what I so easily came up with now, because now it's named the Cyclone Mom method, but it revealed itself over time instead of
Yeah.
me like forcing. And I do want to say, when I kind of go back to the two things when you said, when I said about how letting it unfold and then also, taking time to answer those questions, it also came because I was coaching with somebody who could then see where I was stuck, or did ask me that question, and not forced me, but because you are in that coaching relationship, that gives you the container to pause and reflect. So I'm big about being a product of my product. And if it is like, I find that it is more easy and more fun to bounce that off of somebody else than it would be to just kind of like come up with that stuff on your own. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I just needed to not push the process. Um, it revealed itself. And so when I check myself, when I decide to create something new, like I'll give you an example. There was a workshop idea and masterclass that I was going to do, and this was back in December. And for some reason, when every time it was, time to do it, I just checked in with my body, and there was just so much, resistance, and it just wasn't, I don't know, it just didn't feel like the right timing. And then January, there was a personal experience in my family that I could then see why that wasn't the right timing. And we just often try and control and make things happen sooner than they're ready, right?
Yeah. And I love that, going back to what you said earlier of being the CEO is tapping into that intuition, is figuring out what you know and letting yourself have the time and space and energy to really understand what you already know and build on that. So, oh, we've covered so many good things today. I feel like this is so great. Now, what advice would you give to others who are in the same space that you were before you came here, where they're doing well in business, but also feeling a little bit stuck as far as growth? So doing good, but unable to really grow and scale.
Yes. What I did is what I would recommend to others. And that is actually the second step in my method, which is to clarify your goals. So if you have recognized that you are not right now, like, or you're at a place where you want to take it to a different level, I want you to go to that future scenario where you're already have arrived to whatever your definition is of scaling or growing or your ideal business life, and go to that future scenario and get super specific and clear about that, what that looks like. Because for me, it wasn't about $1 million revenue, um, business. It was literally helping more moms that I can't because I'm one person, because I have, one-on-one limited spots. And then I have a group, which is a little bit more of it on the scaling option. But if I wanted, and my vision was to help hundreds of thousands of women, then for me, I noticed that a book would be a way to do that, because that can help people that I wouldn't ever have come in contact with, maybe.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's what I like. In order to arrive where you want to go, you have to know where that place is. And so without a vision or a decision on what you want it to look like, once you reach that decision or you get really clear on that vision, then you come back and ask your present self, what would I need to start doing and stop doing today in order to make progress towards that vision? And for me, that became so clear. When I decided I wanted to become more visible and help more moms on a larger scale through a book and a book funnel, then I came back to, what do I need to do today? Well, I need to invest in someone who's going to show me how to do that, right? And then if I'm going to spend my time and energy building those products, that means, oh, I better start learning how to give up some of those tasks to somebody else. So by getting that clear vision, I could then come back and feel empowered to make decisions today. So that's what I would recommend.
That's so powerful. I love it. I hope all of you listening will take that and really, really work to clarify your goals, because it is the first step. I feel like that's so important. Now, you have done amazing things in your business with Peaceful Profits and beyond, but we would love to hear about your book and then anywhere else you'd like to share that people can find you and get involved with your work.
Yeah. So everything that you're able to get about my books and about my courses and how my one-on-one and group are all available on my website, which is my name. So it's daniellethienel.com. And there you will find a link to the book, The Cyclone Mom Method. And then I also have a resource page that has, how you can get help from me in free and then some paid things. And one of them is also my podcast, the Peaceful Mind Podcast for Busy Moms, that is found on any podcast platform.
Awesome. Okay. Well, definitely go check that out, everyone. Danielle, thank you for being here. I love your work. You're doing amazing things, and we'll see you all next time. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.